Hi guys, welcome to Exploring Light. Today I want to take you to the moon and back. On the 26th of May earlier this year, there was a significant astronomical event in the sense that we had a perigee supermoon. A perigee supermoon happens when the moon is closest to Earth in the entire year, which makes it appear to be 10 to 15% larger than normal. In this video, I want to walk you through my shot of the supermoon. This shot was featured on the Photopill's Insta page as the Photopill shot of the day. I talk about my plan, how I imagine this shot, my settings, and my approach. And I hope I can inspire you to take similar shots. Imagine, plan, and shoot. The first step to taking a shot like this is to imagine the shot. Imagine the supermoon lined up next to a prominent building so that you get a sense of scale. My idea of fun is not taking the full moon in a pitch dark sky. That just is not interesting enough for me. I would like to line up the supermoon with a subject like the Qutub Minar of Delhi so that when we shoot from a distance away with our long lenses, the subject becomes small and the moon, although it remains the same size, but appears to be considerably larger. It is then the perspective that makes the shot stand out. The trick, of course, is to shoot from as far back as you can so that the subject is smaller and the moon appears to be huge. This is the Photopill's Insta page, and I particularly like this shot from Madrid, Spain. This is another favorite one by Smoky Skies. There's a nice one here, and this should also have my shot of the Qutub Minar. Here it is, the Qutub Minar with the supermoon, and this was the photopillar of the day shot. So now let's move on to how I planned this shot. So once you've imagined the shot, you need a plan to pull it off. You need to calculate the direction or the azimuth so that when you shoot the Qutub Minar, the moon is behind it or right next to it, so that in perspective to the small Qutub Minar, because you're shooting it from far, the huge size of the supermoon becomes obvious. Also, because you're shooting it from far, you need to make sure that you are getting a clear, unobstructed view to your subject from the location that you choose to shoot from. I did all this planning in the Photopills app, and let me show you how I planned the shot. The first step is to find the Photopills app on your phone, tap on Photopills, find the moon planner, go into the calendar, and you will find there are two supermoon dates in 2021. One is the 27th of April and the 26th of May. So we are interested only in the 26th of May. So you tap on this date, and this gives us all the information about the supermoon. We see that the moonrise is at 19:14, which is 7:14 in the evening, which is just perfect for us. It's the golden hour. And let me send this date to my planner. I send it to the planner. I load my point of interest, which is the Qutub Minar, as I've spoken often enough in this video. I select Qutub Minar, and as you can see, there are two pins here. The red pin is my camera position, and the black pin is my subject. Now, as you can see, the blue line indicates the position of the moon. And the supermoon would rise from the east. So we would want to be somewhere in the west so that we have the Qutub Minar and the supermoon in line. So very tentatively, for the moment, let me look for a location somewhere west of this where the Qutub Minar and the supermoon could be in line. So I had previously recce'd this area and had located a possible location. So let's tap on this location and our camera, this becomes our camera position. The red pin indicates our camera position. So from here, if I shoot towards the east, you will see that I would have the Qutub Minar and the moon in line. The thin blue line indicates the position of the moonrise, and if I do a long tap on the timeline, it stretches it, which allows us a little bit of a fine control. So let's look at the time. Let's come to the 26th, and on the 26th, sun sets, and then here is the moonrise, and there it comes. So it rises at 7:14, and by the time, now if I stretch it out, by the time it's at 7:24, it's right behind Qutub Minar. That's what we want. But photopills also tells us what is the height of the moon at this time, at this moment. It shows the height of the moon would be 36 meters. What we want is the moon to be on top of Qutub Minar, behind it on top. So let's check what is the height of the Qutub Minar. So if I go on Google and I search for the Qutub Minar height, Google reckons the Qutub Minar is around 73 meters high. So back to photopills, and let's move ahead on the timeline and keep a close watch on the moon height. If I keep moving, around 7:33, 7:34, we get to 73 meters. That's close enough, 73.1, 72.9. So Google reckons that at 7:34, the moon will be at a height of 73 meters. So that's our alignment, that's done. There are a lot of other features in photopills. For example, I can set my camera mode, the camera model. For me, it was D750. The focal length of my lens, 500. We are good. We can set the aperture at f8, and we can set the distance. The distance is should be the black pin distance. I choose the black pin distance, and I will shoot this in portrait mode. So portrait mode, and this will also show us the depth of field calculations. So the idea is we want the Qutub Minar, which is the subject, to be pin sharp and the moon to be acceptably sharp. And that can be done once you the moon and your subject are in a hyperfocal distance, are within the hyperfocal distance. You will have the Qutub Minar pin sharp and the moon acceptably sharp. I will not go into the details of how to plan the depth of field. Maybe that can be another video. But for now, it's just suffice to say that there's a lot of planning that can be done in photopills. Now that we have our shot all planned out, it's time to execute this plan. But before that, let's have a small gear talk. You will need the longest lens that you have in your arsenal, maybe a 200 mm, a 500 mm, or perhaps even an 800 mm. Any DSLR or mirrorless body capable of interchangeable lenses would do. A crop sensor body would offer you more reach, but a full frame camera may give you more flexibility in terms of cropping in post. I used a Nikon 200 to 500 lens on my Nikon D750 body and a 70 to 200 f4 lens on my Nikon D850. Tripods are absolutely mandatory, and it would be good to have some kind of a remote trigger. Or you could even use the self-timer function on your cameras. I personally use the time-lapse function on my camera to completely automate the shot making process so that there is no manual intervention. Now, with this background information in place, can I please request you to like and share our video and subscribe to our channel. And now let's go shoot a supermoon.
Ready? Shall we go? Let's go. Hi guys. So today we are walking to our location for the supermoon shoot. The challenge for this shot was finding a location where a prominent structure or a building would line up with the moon rise. I used photo paints to find a location where we would have a prominent structure, which in this case is the Delhi's famous Victory Tower, the Qutub Minar, the centuries-old Qutub Minar, and the moon would rise right behind Qutub Minar. What makes today even more interesting is that it's a Perigee Moon, which means that it is closer to Earth than it has been throughout the year. And what is also interesting is that today there is a partial lunar eclipse. I don't know if you will be able to capture it or see it because it's a partial lunar eclipse, but it certainly adds an element of interest today. So stick around, guys. It's going to be a fun-filled, action-filled evening, and I hope you will see some good results.
When we arrived at the location for our supermoon shot, we were disappointed to see that some people had actually started a fire right in line with our shot of the Qutub Minar. The smoke from the fire would completely ruin our shot. And as I stood there wondering what to do next, I decided that I would have to look for alternate locations. So in case my first choice site did not work out, I would have a plan B to work with. Meanwhile, on the other side, a beautiful sunset was unfolding. And although I was here primarily to shoot the supermoon, a beautiful sunset is always hard to ignore. After a quick few shots of the sunset, I started looking for new locations again. I used the augmented reality on my phone to line up the supermoon with the Qutub Minar.
Till I see the moon coming up. That's where I need to move very, very fast.
I also took a few test shots as a starting point.
So let's have a look at my.
Obviously, these would change as the night went on.
1/20 ISO to 200. I don't want to go to 100 ISO because that will reduce my my shutter speed. I don't want to reduce my shutter speed too much so that I take care of any camera shake or any movement. And also, I don't want any trailing on my move. If I go beyond 1 second or maybe 2 seconds, I might even see some trailing on the move. So just to have a pinch on the move, I do maintain this shutter speed of around 100, maybe up to 1/2.
There were plenty of distractions, but time was running out for us.
The moon
I was joined by
is
my
bigger than the
photography friends.
sun. 1/3 होगा इसका.
We set about fixing our gear. We set up our tripods, our big lenses, and tried to get our framing the way we wanted it to be. The framing was very, very important because once the moon rose, it would move very, very fast and we would have no time to shift our cameras. We had to make sure that our framing would accommodate the movement of the moon and the earth. We went over our shutter speeds, our shooting intervals, knowing fully well that these would have to be continuously monitored and adjusted depending on the darkness and the brightness of the moon. Too long a shutter speed and we would be looking at moon blur, which would be very, very undesirable. As the manual suggests, we switched on to manual focus and zoomed in on our LCDs to make sure our focus was pin sharp. The wait was excruciating because we wanted to be sure that our calculations are right and the moon would actually come up where we expected it to come up. Every second made us even more nervous. Till finally we saw a shining glimmer of the moon. We were fascinated, we were blown away by the sight in front of us.
This is just awesome. Although my alignment was just a bit wrong, just a little to the right, but still, we got the perspective and it is just fantastic, just amazing. Okay guys, now we are done with our supermoon shoot and I can't begin to tell you it was such a fantastic evening. We had the supermoon rising just to the right of Qutub Minar, so somewhere our calculations for this location were a little bit awry, but we were expecting that to happen. It's not, it's very difficult to get your precise heading when you're out in the open like this and there's no room to move. But anyway, now I used photo pills to pinpoint this location, and I was looking for a heading of 117 degrees. Just as a reference, north is 0, and then every 90 degrees you can chart the azimuth. So we were looking for 117, which would have meant the supermoon would have been right behind the Qutub Minar. But in the end, it was slightly to the right, but still close enough, and I'm not really disappointed. So talking about our shooting, we were shooting with 2 cameras, with the Nikon D750 with Nikon 200 to 500 lens. I set this up on interval shooting with an interval of 8 seconds, but that is just because I'm lazy. But I will use this only for still shots. So you can see this is the kind of shot I want, and maybe I will do a video of processing this image if that's of interest to you guys. On my second camera, which is the D850, I have a 70 to 200 lens, and I shot a time lapse on this, and it's quite happy with the time lapse. As you will see, the moon rising and going to its right. So that's also quite a nice shot. Quite excited about this time lapse. And again, I could probably do a tutorial on how I edited this time lapse. So that's it, guys. This is a wrap from us, and I will see you back in the studio.